Alright, we should be good to go. Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another Moonshire Monday. I am ready to get started. Today I'm going to be working on a new logo, and there's a few people in chat already. I'm going to be waiting a few minutes to get started so everyone can filter in a little bit. Let me go ahead and pull up some of the stuff that I was working on. So for those who don't know, I made a Moonshire logo a very long time ago, a couple years ago. And I like it. I think it's a really, really good logo, but I could probably use a facelift, so that's something that I think I'm going to try and work on today. Where are my... That's the problem with having so many assets, is that it's easy to lose track of some of this stuff. Okay, this is the logo I'm talking about, and I think it's really good. So actually, but yeah, before we actually get started with this, I'm gonna go ahead and chat with chat a little bit. Hello everyone, Thunders, Atomic Syntax, Christopher, Wolf Eterni, Bayani ADM, Elias Indy, Saba, and D Patel. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really do appreciate the support and all the folks that are here today. Roy BGB, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really, really appreciate that. Future 34 is here too. Thank you for that. I am going to be working on this logo here, and the way that I'm going to be doing it is first starting with font research, because figuring out all these fonts for a logo is really complicated. And then the other thing is I want to put it over top of, let's see if I have it, over top of a new background that I have. Where did I put this new background? That's sad. Well, whatever. Let's see the new logo. Well, I haven't made it yet. That's what we're going to be working on today. All we know is going to be an amazing stream. Thank you. Appreciate that. Did I finish Silk Song? I did not finish it. I took a break for a while. I actually haven't played since last Sunday. Or sorry, since last Monday. So what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be going through a whole bunch of different fonts and taking notes of which ones I think will be good. And there's lots of sites that we can go and do this on. I think I'm going to start with Google Fonts. So, when it comes to choosing fonts, it's really important to consider not only the look, because all of these have like a very unique, stylish look to them, but you have to consider what the license is. And that's really something you don't normally think about. You can look online for tons and tons of fonts. There's lots of free ones, but you have to look at the fine print. All of them do have a license attached to them, which means that you can't use them for everything. There's only very specific things that you are allowed to use these fonts for. And one thing that I like about Google Fonts is that the license is very open. Kami Moon, good morning, glad to catch stream. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the donation, appreciate that so much. Thank you for being here. Really do appreciate all the support, guys. And one thing that also we can do, let's see. It's been a while since I've been on this site. Filters, I know you're able to preview it, so like I can type Moonshire like this. So then we can easily like scroll through all these and see which one of these actually look good as a Moonshire logo font. And also, by the way, this isn't just going to be this is the logo and that's it. Today's the anniversary of Undertale. That's awesome. Wow, that's amazing. 10 years ago. I was in college when I played that, and I remember it very, very clearly. That's very amazing. Let me pull up that other logo and show that again, because this is the one that I'm kind of competing with. I love this logo. I think that this logo that I have for Moonshire right now is very good. I think it's good. I'm just trying to see if I can improve on it. And also, I'm trying to see if I can make a Moonshire Monday logo, like a specific Monday stylization. So maybe instead of Moonshire, I can have this say Moonshire Monday, like that. So then we can see, like, maybe I'll have a different font for the Monday, and then... Because that's the other thing is, you can never have too many logos. Like, I could still use this high-res logo. I don't know, I shouldn't close it. I keep closing it. But we can always come back to this. I just want to have a variety. That's my main thing with all the stuff that I work on, is that I like having a variety of different options to choose from. What's the name of that website that shows easing styles? That would be easings.net. Easings.net. Sorry, I had to move the browser off screen just in case. When you're a streamer, very good to be cautious about like your browsers and stuff that you're showing on screen. I don't have anything weird on here, but you know, I don't want to take that risk. Still haven't finished Hollow. Oh, I wouldn't spoil anything. Don't worry about that. I haven't finished Silk Song, so no one spoil that either. But I love this site because someone was asking about the easings. There's lots of different types of easings that you can use for tweens, and I use all of these easing types for Moonshire for different situations, because sometimes you might want it to be really straight and somewhat linear, and other times you want it to be like more like that. Or they have the cool bouncy ones too, which I use sometimes. You can do some weird stuff with that. One thing that you can do with this Google Fonts site is there is a lot of different filters. And if we're going for a logo, I think that's something like happy or active. Oh wait, you can only do one at a time. This is very goofy, but like, at least it has personality. I can appreciate a font that has some personality, and that certainly does. I think an 8-bit logo for Moonshire would look awesome. I think it would kind of too, and that's something that we can look out for. At the same time, though, it needs to look high quality, so it definitely just depends. Some of these are okay, but a lot of these are just a little too silly. And I do like these, though. What are you looking to achieve for the logo? Like, will it just be text or some background too? What I want to achieve with this logo is, right now, I have this logo, and I think it's great. And I want to just experiment with other font types and styles, because this isn't just someone's font. Like, I paid an artist to research fonts, and then they adjusted it and stylized it to make the Moonshire logo. And I think this is very good. All I'm trying to do is see if I can improve on this, see if there's other fonts out there that might look a little bit better, because I don't know. This is just the one and only. I don't know if I shouldn't have closed it. I don't know if that's the best font for me to go with. I don't know if that's the best logo, because it's the only logo I have. And in my experience with doing any sort of art and stuff, the first attempt normally isn't the best attempt. And I'm looking for the best possible thing here. And I think this is good. It's just, is it the best thing? And maybe, I'm not sure. Someone said, take your shirt off. I'll let that show. But no, maybe after stream. As I'm going through these, nothing's really popping out at me. I think these are all a little too silly. So maybe instead of the happy feeling filter, let's change to vintage maybe, and see what that means. So these are like old-timey medieval fonts, and like the style of something like this I think is cool, but here's a big problem with this, is I think it's really hard to read. Like I read this and I think this is sick, but it's a little hard to read. Moonshire Monday. It's easy to read Moonshire Monday here when you know what it already says, but I really want to go for readability, because the other thing is that Moonshire, this is a made-up word, and if it's hard to read and it's a made-up word, it's going to be double confusing. So I think that readability is a top priority for me. But you know that whenever you do that, it sacrifices creativity and quality, or not quality, it sacrifices some personality, because having some like really frilly font like these is fun. Like, this is kind of cool, but I can't read this. Like, this is an awesome pixel font, but I can't read this at all. I don't know what this says. That's definitely an extreme example, obviously. If Silksong crashed multiple stores, imagine what would happen if GTA 6 gets released. I mean, you have a point there. I think that's totally true. Yeah, it is really cool that Silksong had that much of an impact. This one's kind of cool, but it doesn't really fit the right vibe. Oh, look at this N. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, I want to use this font just so I can put this N somewhere. That's the coolest N I've ever seen. Look up fancy pixel fonts. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that in a second after I finish off these. Because so far I'm not super feeling these either. I think there's some okay ones. But when this says vintage, this is like saloon font. Who drew the Steam capsule art for Moonshire? I hired an artist named V, but V is currently not taking commissions, so unfortunately I'm still working with and trying to find other artists to collaborate with. This one's really readable, but it's kind of boring is the problem. It's just so boring is the problem. Moonshire Steam trailer's outdated? Yeah, I know it is. It's kind of a joke, honestly. It says 2024. That is funny. It's such a hard balance between like super readable like this and having a lot of personality. Who made this one? Me, Culpa? Like I can't read any of this. This is unreadable. I guess when it's, part of my problem. What the heck? See, part of my problem is that all of these are the capital letters, and I think that these frilly fonts make the capital letters very extra, where you can kind of read this, but this is just scribbles. That's ridiculous. That's really bad. Dusty Duck, hi, welcome in. Ooh, this is kind of cool. It's like a witch. It reminds me of like a witch font. It's okay though. It's not bad. Do they have bold? That's the other thing. A lot of these fonts don't have any weight, or do they? No, they don't. This is just the one. It's just regular weighting. Which, by the way, when I say weighting, that means how bold it is. A lot of these are very. Oh my gosh. Look at this one. Wow. Oh my gosh. I think I found a really good one here. This is amazing. That's so cool. I'm a big fan of this one. Okay, so now that I found this, I'm going to copy the link for it. And I'm going to put it down in my notes. We got the link. Senzil decorative. So there we go. That's one really, really good one. I'm a big fan. That's awesome. I love that one. And the other amazing thing about that is that it has the boldness. See, a lot of these don't have that. This one just has the one size, regular. There's no bold. But this one has lots of different sizes, or at least 3. That's nice. It's fancy and readable. Exactly. I love that. Also, it enunciates the R really, really hard. Which, if you didn't know, the reason why I have Moonshire in all capitals always is because I like having the R capitals. If you compare Moonshire to Moonshire, like this. Oh, well, let's see if we can see it. Oh, it what the heck? Look. It combined the 2 O's together, like, naturally. That's what I do. That's what I do in my logo. That's so weird. That's so funny that the lowercase font actually does combine the 2 O's together. That's very weird. So really, I could combine these if I did, made these 2 lowercase like this. Holy cow! Look at that. That's awesome. That's very funny that did that. Are these free fonts? Yeah. In fact, the thing that I like most about Google Fonts, and I use Google Fonts a lot, there's lots of reasons. One, all of these fonts are hosted online, so you don't even have to download them to use them. You can just reference the URL, and that's amazing. But then the other thing is that all of the license for all of these is super good. It's like it's a very open license, and we can check this. You should never use any font or asset of any kind unless you know what the font, or unless you know what the license is. And in this case, it has a license tab right here. You can click on license, and it tells you all that you're able to do with it. And in our case, it's SIL Open Font License, which means I'm pretty confident I can use it for my game. Well, and actually, in this case, I'm not even using it for my game. I'm using it for designing a logo, which means I don't have to embed it. See, the main problem with fonts is that you have to embed the font into your game in order to use it in the game. But if I'm just using it for an image, I don't have to embed it. So normally the font licenses always allow you to use it for artwork, but then they don't allow you to embed it. And this one, it's like it says, all of these are from Open Font License. I think almost all of them are the same. So you're able to use them in your digital products. It's very, very open. So this font, big fan. And someone mentioned the fancy typing. Why is the wish list still 30K on stream or on Steam? It's been 2 years, but it still had 30K wish list. Does it say publicly how many wish lists the game has? If it does, I didn't know it did. Because the truth is I don't check it, and the other truth is it's probably not gaining very many wish lists recently because I'm not really posting too many videos about it. So I think that's the main thing. If it's stagnated for a while, that's probably normal. Check out the fancy fonts. I will in a second. The thing is, I want to go through the rest of these. There's a lot of fonts to go through. Google Fonts has literally thousands, and yeah, the fancy fonts will be my next one. What the heck? That's so weird. Steam doesn't show wish list, does it? I didn't think it did. And great music choice, thank you. I'm a big fan of my playlist choices. There's a lot of work to get it all set up because I have the MP3s for all of these songs on my computer and they're running locally, which is cool. And I'm glad that I have like the text showing what the song is. That's cool. It does take a lot of work to set that up though. But for anyone who streams out there, I do have the script to extract the metadata for this stuff. It's on my GitHub. You can use it if you want to. I think that I've exhausted all the good ones from Vintage, so let's switch over to Fancy. See, this is the problem I think we're gonna find with Fancy, is that when you use capital letters, they make the capital letters extremely extra. So here, let's just change the filter. And instead of Moonshire Monday, it's gonna be Moonshire. So now we can see both fonts, or both styles. Are these songs copyrighted? Well, so the thing about copyright is interesting, because technically, yeah, these are copyrighted songs. These are all owned and copyrighted by Nintendo. They own them. But I'm able to use them on my stream because Nintendo chooses not to claim the songs. They choose not to strike people who use this music. They do have a legal right to. It's their music. You can't use anyone's music without their permission. That's just the truth. And Nintendo has the right to take down any video that uses, or I don't know if they have the right to take down. They have the right to claim the music, claim the monetization from any video that uses their music, but they choose not to. And since they choose not to, I'm using their music. Thank you, Nintendo. But if they wanted to start striking me or taking whatever, they had the legal right to. It's just the environment on YouTube is very iffy. That's why my playlist is very curated in a way that like I get claimed kind of regularly actually, because my playlist is mostly Nintendo music, but it's a lot of non-Nintendo music too. And I get claimed for songs all the time. I get claimed for Final Fantasy music a lot, so I took most of the Final Fantasy music off of my playlist. I get claimed for Atlas music, so that's like the Persona series and Shin Megami Tensei. I love that soundtrack, but every time I have one of those songs playing on my stream gets claimed, so I just take it off. And that's the way that I operate with all these songs, is that I use the songs that I think I'm allowed to use, and if it turns out that I'm not, then I'll remove that portion of the stream, or I'll remove that song from my playlist. And that's really the best thing that you can do. You can curate your playlist with as much music that you think you're able to use, but at the end of the day, if the original artist feels like claiming you, they can. And also, it doesn't have to be the original artist either. I had a problem where I was playing some Pokemon music, and then someone took the exact same Pokemon music, posted it to YouTube, and started claiming other people's videos that was using that song, even though it wasn't their music. They just uploaded the music on their own channel. What font does the current logo use? I actually have no idea. I have no clue what the current font is. Because I paid someone else to make it, and they did an awesome job designing this logo. And I think they actually told me what font they based it off of, but I don't remember. It's been a long time. Can you send me some of your pixel art for my practice project? Not really, but on my GitHub, if you go to the Legend of Lua repo, there's a bunch of pixel art there if you want to check that out. But if you're working on a practice project, there's lots of pixel art asset packs. So even in my game, Moonshire, I use a lot of asset packs that's not just like my own artwork. If we play this game, like even some of this stuff, the water border, like this animation of the water border is from an asset pack that I paid for. I think that this sunflower, the shape originally came from an asset pack, but then I edited all the different layers to make it move. I think that this rock... No, I paid Ellie for this rock. And I paid a different artist for these cliffs. The sign came from an asset pack. This box, I think, came from an asset pack. So I'm saying it's a combination of different things. Is my playlist available on YouTube also? No, it is not. All of these songs are local MP3s that I personally have. And that's the problem with YouTube, is these songs aren't all on YouTube anymore. It's hard to really explain, but even though Nintendo doesn't claim all of their music when people use their songs, if someone does take one of their songs and posts it as like a standalone video, like if they took Pokemon Cerulean City and they posted it to YouTube as a standalone video that people could just listen to it, they tend to strike those and take those down, because Nintendo has their own music app. They have the Nintendo Music app, and whoops, this is not the right one. And if those songs are just on YouTube for free, that kind of competes on their own service. I use Krita, it's free. Yeah, I use Krita a little bit too. I think that's a good one. Did you know you can use YouTube yeah, I heard about that. I've looked into stuff like that, and I have other methods that I use for things like that, but you know, I don't want to get too into that. Long story short, I have all these MP3s on my computer, and that's how I'm running the playlist. These fonts are good, but not too many of them are jumping out at me. They're just a little too busy. Something like this is okay. What is this? Like, this is actually decent. I think this is okay because, well, I don't know. It's only okay. Many fancy fonts are absolutely unreadable. Oh, yeah, Thai maybe? Oh yeah, I see. Maybe. Yeah, I can't read that. Whoa. Let's see if there are any other filters we can check out. Because we went through vintage, we went through happy and fancy. I don't think playful is going to work out. These are going to be too silly. Although they might work out for Moonshire Monday, so let's see. I'm going to go back to looking at... well, I'll type all three of them. Monday. 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 Moonshire, Monday, Monday. Man, that is so thick. Okay, some of these are kind of cool at least. They're just weird. If I have some ancient unreadable scripts in my game. I think I have some. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would be funny to just like put this text and that would be funny because this does look like to me. I bet this is a real world language. I just don't know how to read it. It to me looks like ancient text. It does look like something that would be written on like a slab. Maybe pixel art logo. Oh yeah, we could look into that too. There's some pixel art fonts that we could try, or I could also commission Tony to work on something like that because he could probably make something good. None of these are popping out at me. Yeah, I'm not really feeling these. Trade winds. This one's kind of cool. I wouldn't say I don't like this as much as Senzil, but I still like it. I'm gonna write it down. Try searching lunar. Okay. I'll do that. Well, okay. How about I do this? I'm going to duplicate tab, and then we'll search lunar. And then I need to take off my filter. Was it just called lunar? It should show up if it is. I like this one because it has a lot of bold stuff. This is not bad. This is really basic. Like, don't get me wrong. This is a really basic one, but I still like this. I still like this one. Because at this point, I'm gonna say like, as long as it looks good to my eye, I'm gonna consider it. Consider it good. Oh, it's a font called Lunar. There's a font called Lunar, and that's the one that V used. Okay, I'm gonna try and find it. I don't know how in the world you found that. Lunar font. I don't know how I'm gonna find it. I think that's gonna be a hard one to find. Oh. Bin or F. Sorry, I've read someone say lunar. Okay, I'll search for exactly what you said this time. That was my bad. I misread someone's. Binner EF. Font. Wow, you found it! Amazing! Whoa, okay. Not bad. Very good job. I'm impressed that you found this. But, like... Yeah, you can tell that he made adjustments to it, because... Am I able to change... This is the... I hate this website! It's so ad... Ugh. I need to find a different site to check that out at. There we go. This is called Bitter. Whoa. I don't like these ads over here. I just want to look at the ad. Can I change the... This is so sad. I hate websites. I hate websites. It's so annoying. But thank you for finding that. I am glad to know I have that now. Because I never knew. I knew at one point because he definitely told me. It's sadly paid? Oh, well, that's fine. Do I use Sprite? Yeah, I use Sprite. I'm a big fan of Sprite. I searched Lunar, and actually some of these are kind of cool. That's just a coincidence. Okay, I think that's it for that. Do I make a font in it? In Sprite? No, I've never made a font in Sprite. Well, actually, let me show you what I have done, because I've done something similar to what we're talking about. Because I have UI. Oh, where would this be? This would be in a different project. In projects. Give me 1 second while I pull it up. Or how did I do this? Maybe it's under. Oh, this is brutal. Boxy bold. Okay, here it is. I found it. Okay, I use this font in my game. And this font is a Kenny font. If you don't know who Kenny is, Kenny makes these free assets, and they're really, really good. And I do I actually? I don't know if I use this anymore. I did for a while, where I used like this number for the damage, but I don't show the damage numbers anymore, so maybe I don't actually use this anymore. But you can make fonts using sprite sheets and then render them using images. And when I showed the damage numbers in my game, I would show these numbers up here towards the top, and they would like pop out. And in order to edit these, I think I did manually edit all these files, because like I have this 0 and yeah, I scaled it up for some reason. So I think that I used that. How do I organize my files? Oh my gosh, I have so many files. It's ridiculous. But in this folder, like, in fact, I'm currently working on another reorganization, because I have this Moonshire Prefactor folder and I have this Moonshire folder. This is just another version that I'm trying to reorganize all the files at. It's really, it's hard to get it all organized. The bigger the project, the harder that is. That's pretty standard. I was still browsing some of these. We were gonna look at pixel art fonts too, and there are actually some pixel fonts on this website. Not very many. Let's check them though. I kind of like this font for Monday. For the Monday part, I kind of want to make it like a neon sign, so I'm gonna search for neon stuff after this. Moonshire Monday. I can't really make the font any bigger. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go and search for pixel, because I think there's a few. That's kind of not great. One thing I noticed about all these pixel fonts is that they are mixels. They don't really feel very pixely sometimes. That's unreadable. Oh, I know. I can't read this at all. I have no idea. I don't know what they were even thinking with this one. I like these dot ones. This kind of works for my neon sign idea. Although I think I have a better dot font on itch.io. I'm gonna have to find that too. There's so many fonts to go through. It's crazy. That's cool. 64. This kind of matches the sign idea that I was going for. Well, not really. Not really. I'm gonna go with no, actually. A lot of pixel art fonts are fake pixel art. Yeah, they just kind of look pixely. But they ain't. They ain't pixel. They ain't nothing. I'm gonna give me 1 second while I pull up my itch.io pixel fonts, or my itch. I have a lot of fonts on itch.io, so let me pull those up. I wonder if there's a way for me to... I wonder if I can filter just on fonts, because I have so many of these. Oh, this is the artist that made that made the logo. So if you're ever interested, their name is V, but right now they're not doing commissions. Give me one moment. I'm gonna see if I can. I can't believe there's not a way to filter on type of asset, because I have thousands. I'm not even kidding. I think I have over 1,000 asset packs on my itch page, and I can't. I wish I could just find all the fonts. Because, I mean, because I'll go ahead and show this. I don't normally like to show my my itch.io library, but I have so many asset packs that this is what my list of purchases looks like. Sorry, let's keep going. This is what it looks like. Still going. Halfway done. Almost there. Still going. And there we go. Now we made it to the bottom. Okay, these are all the assets that I own. Is all of those. Okay? So, with that in mind, how do I find all the fonts? Itch, please give me a way to find all the fonts, because this is too much. Like, this is so much stuff. I remember... Oh my gosh. You have to sort it. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to go through and actually manually tag them, because for some reason I don't see a way to sort it. But there are a lot of fonts somewhere in here. So if you're ever wondering where some of my assets come from, I could type font. You're right. Let's try that. So if I do this, it does give me mostly fonts. I think that's a pretty reliable way to do it. So you know what? Wolf saves the day again. Let's go ahead and do it this way. But it doesn't capture all of them. Like for example, when I type font, it captures this font right here, but it didn't capture Avenue Pixel, because Avenue Pixel doesn't have the word font anywhere in it. But this will still give us a good number of them. So let's go ahead and search through these. The Pixel fonts, I think most of the ones I bought are Pixel fonts actually. But the thing about Pixel fonts again is like, what the heck? Oh, I can just type? MOONSHIRE Monday. This is awesome. Wow. Whoever made this did a really good job. You did a great job with this demo. Wow, I love this. Whoever made this website, or whoever made this little interactive thing, I'm a big fan. Like, nice job. Also, it looks like I bought a bunch of crap 145 days ago, and it cost me $60. I spent $60 on a big pack of stuff. Oh yeah, it looks like it came with all of these, because there's a bunch of fonts right here. Yeah, these are very, very low res. Pixel font will be best in my game. You know, I've gone back and forth on that. I definitely see the appeal of it. But Pixel fonts are just ugly. They're just so ugly. They'll be, if I can find a good one, I will definitely use it. Hello, this is your first stream. Awesome, thank you for stopping in. I'm glad you could be here. We're working on fonts and logos. Like, let's take a look at these. This is very small for some reason. That's fine. The problem with pixel fonts are also a pain to use. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is they don't look very clean. And when you have low-res detail, they look very pixely and they look very appropriate, but they also look ugly and hard to read. And then when you bump up the pixel count so that they're higher res but still pixel art, they don't really look like pixel art anymore because they're higher res, and then it's like, well, at that point you might as well just use a high-res font. I had to go by. Well, thank you for stopping in, Onion. Pixel fonts aren't the most accessible to read either. Yes, so that's something I was talking about. Was I talking about that last week? How in my settings menu I have this pixel fonts setting that people will be able to turn on and off, because pixel fonts, I'm completely with you, that's the biggest negative with pixel fonts, is that they are not as easy to read compared to regular ones. That's just a circle of fonts. I mean, I see what you mean. Oh, it started me over. Oh, this one's kind of cool. I remember buying this one. It's very narrow. Oh, here's another problem with pixel fonts, is that a lot of them don't have all of the special characters, like the European characters or whatever, other non-English characters. This one does, which is awesome, but a lot of them don't. Like, Wolf, I remember when you and I were working on that French thing, I had to find a specifically new font that had those characters, otherwise they wouldn't show up. This one's good too, I like this a lot. This one I think is very nice. In fact... Oh, it has the special characters too. This one's good. Why haven't I been using this? This one looks nice. I should use this one. This one is Undertale vibes. Yeah, it's a little different though. And it kind of it feels like it has unique vibes that feel right with my game actually. Like these capital letters feel old-timey. Oh, Mike, I didn't recognize this song. It's from DK. I finished DK Bonanza and I added like I think I added 8 songs to my playlist. I really like the soundtrack from that game. Did I see this font before? Maybe. This is on itch.io. And it has a lot of comments, so it probably has been used in something. Is my game gonna have lore? Yeah, definitely. But I've written lore and figured out some stuff that I wanted to do. But in the end, I decided to halt any of that stuff because the lore needs to fit the game. The game doesn't need to fit the lore. I personally found that when a game stretches its mechanics to fit a story, it kind of leads to a not very fun experience. But if you have a good story, but if you have great mechanics and then build a story around those mechanics, you can still make a good story. Maybe you can have the logo that made out of stars, like a constellation. Oh, that's a cool idea. It would look well in the background of the main menu. That totally would look cool. I do like that idea. That's neat. Am I able to go to the main menu right now? No, it breaks. Dude, I've been going... My game is messed up right now. It is similar to Undertale, because Undertale uses a pixel art font too. But I can tell that this one's different mainly because of the... it just has more curves to it. So I forgot that I own this one. I think this is a great font. I like it better than the current pixel font I'm using. Cause let's take a look at it. The pixel font that I have in the game currently is this one. I think this is Mago 1 or Mago 2. And like this looks horrible. One, the size is wrong. Like, I need to resize it, but it's just a bad font. It's way too thin. Comparing that to Compass, this one's thicker, but it's still... Yeah, this one's really good. Are you going to make any team? Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, I commission lots of people. I am the solo developer on this project, and it is like 99% me doing it, but I do commission other people to help out. Like, Wolf helps with testing, and I hire a lot of people to help with pixel art. I hired V to do illustration. I have some other people that do with illustration stuff. It's not just me. But in terms of like having an employee or a team of people that are full-time with me doing stuff with development, I don't think I'm going to do that until Moonshire is done and out. But if I start to make money, then sure, I would do that. The one font I've always used for thumbnails and stuff was Press Start 2P. Yeah, I actually have that. I think I have that in the project somewhere. I don't. I used it in something, though. But I know the font you're talking about. The reason I don't use that one anymore is just because it's too widely used. Like people start to recognize it, and that works really well for something like a thumbnail because it's really big and bold. I do like that, but I don't want to use it in my game just because it's kind of overused. And this one, Compass, it's behind a paywall. Like it costs money to buy this to buy this font, so not very many people are using it. And also, let's make sure the license. You can use and or modify these assets in your own personal commercial. You can't distribute or resell them. Attribution is not required. Okay, so I am able to use this, and it supports all these languages already. I think this is a very, very good choice. So I'm going to go ahead and download this one. I'm almost certain that I did have this in the game at one... Look, I even downloaded it at some point, because it says parentheses 1. That means that I did that. Press Start 2P is available on Roblox now. Really? That's cool. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that any of these open fonts, like all of these fonts, these are all free and you can use them in any game. So you'll see these fonts, well, probably not these are the Pixel ones. But any of these Google fonts, these are going to be really, really popular and really widely used. So, if something's free, that means more people are going to use it, right? And yeah, that's just kind of the thing. So let's see. I downloaded that font. Let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, Compass 9, and we have the TTF. Whoops. Oh, come on. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is what the font looks like. It doesn't look as good right here, but it still looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and install it to my computer. One second. Oh, it's already installed. Whoops. So it was already installed. I already have it. But it wasn't put into the game yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take Compass 9. I'm going to take this font. It's just a TTF file. And then I'm going to go over to my game, Moonshire. Actually, I was working off of Moonshire I don't know if I can show this in game right now. I'll try and show it in game right now. This is under Moonshire Prefactor, and then under fonts, I have all these fonts. I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to rename it to Compass 9, all one word, because I don't like having spaces in my file names. Then I'm going to go over to here, assets, fonts, font. And here we go. Pixel fonts. Instead of Mago fonts, we're just going to do... I'm going to change this to Compass 9, like this. This is kind of hacky, but at least I'll be able to test it out. Okay, so I think that if I do this, I think that's enough for me to see. I couldn't find it. Why couldn't it find it? Oh, it's I got this wrong. I do need the fonts folder. I do need the fonts folder. That was my bad. And then we're gonna change this to Compass 9. So my font loader logic is like this because I want to be able to reload the fonts on a regular basis. And when it's like this, it's more flexible. So that's why I'm doing it this way. But it's still kind of ugly. I need to fix that. So let's see. Do they show up? They do. What the heck? I don't know if you guys are able to see that. What the? I don't know why it's doing that. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see. There's a problem. It's blocky. You guys can see it very clearly on the zoomed in version, but the font has like some perforation to it. And it's like that all of them. I don't know why it would be doing that. That's weird. Why would that happen? Let's double check the font file, Compass 9. It doesn't do that here. I don't think. Am I maybe I'm applying a weird filter to it. You know, maybe I need to apply, there's this... There's some kind of, like, scaling font. Scale... Is it, like, apply? Ah, dang it, I wish I could remember. There's some function you can call on pixel fonts specifically. I think that's what I need to do. That's not good. That's a problem. When I know I need to do something, I can't remember what it is. And when I use Godot to make games, I bet there's a lot of Godot users here. Love 2D, font, scaling, pixel. Let's see if something comes up. Wanting to work on too many different ideas at once. Oh, totally. I totally do. Thankfully, I only have one game that I'm currently working on right now, but I have other projects like my overlay, the chat overlay above my head. Which, by the way, is that working? I haven't even been looking at my OBS. It looks like it is. I have that issue all the time. I bet, yeah, it's not just a game dev thing, because it's fun to like think of all these things that you want to accomplish, and then just the process of getting through all that stuff is time consuming. Love 2D font DPI, I think is what I'm looking for. Get DPI scale. I think that this is what the problem is this DPI scale thing is not correct. The DPI scale. The DPI scale factor represents the relative pixel density. A DPI scale factor of 2 means the font's glyphs have twice the pixel density in each dimension. A font size of true type fonts is scaled internally by the font's specified DPI scale factor by default. Love uses the screen's DPI scale factor when creating two type fonts. Okay, I think I need to set that properly. So somewhere in here I can set the DPI scale. And oh my lord, I don't know how to do this. New font, it has the scale, so none of these are setting the DPI scale hinting. What the heck does that mean? True type hinting mode. Does anyone know what that means? Hinting mode. True type hinting mode. What does that mean? I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what that means. What does TTF hinting mean? Hinting, a process to improve the legibility of fonts, especially at small sizes on digital screens. TTF stands for true. Yeah, I know that. Hinting is a set of instructions embedded in the font that adjusts how its vector outlines are. That's exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly what we're looking for. Why hinting matters. Without hinting, fonts can look blurry, uneven, or distorted, especially on low. Wow, guys. I think we found what the problem was. Hopefully that this is what I'm looking for. Align strokes with pixel grids. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Hinting, grid fitting, and crispness. So, is this just a true-false value? Normal, default hinting. Should be preferred on typical anti... Look at this. Whoa. On typical anti-alias fonts. Fuzzier text, preserve original glyphs. Mono. So I'm gonna try this. I think that I need to set this to mono with... Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I have way too much junk here. Pause fonts. So, just to test this, I'm going to try and do local hinting equals mono. And then I'm going to put this in here, and then yeah, I bet the AI is gonna be able to handle all the rest of it. It did. Okay, so now I'm gonna be able to test that out. Let's see if that changes anything. No, it did it changed it. It did change it. It's a different... It looks different. But it's not fixed. Have a good stream. Thank you for stopping in. Appreciate that. I have a class in a few minutes. Good luck with the logo. Thank you, Roy BGB. Thank you for being here. Actually, this doesn't look different. It still looks the same. For some reason, I remember... I thought that this looked a little bit different, but it must look the same. So maybe that's not it. And also, did that do anything? Oh. I fixed it. There we go. Hey, look at that. Oh, these are still broken. Oh, that's because these are part of a different section. Okay, yeah, so I did that does take the... Sorry, that does fix the text. So the answer is we need hinting none on all of these. Well, no, actually. This is what's annoying. I fixed it using AI. It's not that I fixed it using AI. It's that I needed to put this line here. What I did just now, when it put in all these, all those lines, is it saw that I changed this line to hinting, and the AI realizes, oh, well, he probably wants to do the same thing on all these other lines too. So that's what AI did just now. It figured out, like, oh, he wants to do this, so I'm just going to do this mundane task for him. It looks kind of blurry, though. Yes, because I'm scaling it. So it doesn't look blurry here. And by the way, focus only on this top text. This text down here hasn't received the fix yet. So this top text did receive the text. And it is not blurry at all. But when I do the Windows zoom function, and you can see it zoomed in, you can see, like, the 4K artifacts. I think that every pixel art has a bit of that blurriness to it, because Windows is kind of, like, artificially blowing it up so that we can see it. But like, that slight blurriness around the edge, that doesn't exist in the game itself. It only exists in the Windows zoom. So that actually does fix it. So this is the problem, though, is we only want this none hinting. We only want this none hinting if it's a pixel font. If it's a high-res font, we don't want the hinting. And let's actually see what it looks like if we have hinting when we shouldn't. So we'll turn off pixel fonts. That looks fine. Maybe, yeah, I guess it's not quite as crisp as it should be. So, it's gonna be really hard for you guys to see. But when you, this high-res font doesn't have any aliasing, but I can change that if I change this none to, I think just nil, actually. Let's just change it to nil. It'll change it back to the default. So is this less blurry? It looks just as blurry. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the hinting, excuse me. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to all of them. Every font is gonna have none hinting. I'm gonna make this a little bit better in the future, because the way I load all these fonts is it's a bit less blurry. You think so? If it was, so this is what I was gonna say, is that ideally the high-res fonts, it will receive aliasing. Like, it should be standard for any high-res fonts. So in the game, when that pixel font setting is applied, this hinting should change from standard to none. But if we are using the high-res fonts, it should change back to standard. Because aliasing looks good for high-res fonts. It does not look good for the pixel fonts. But for now, I think I'm going to kind of prioritize the pixel fonts. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into all these spots. Local hinting equals none. And then we're going to go ahead and put all these in there. And again, this is GitHub Copilot realizing that I just need to add this parameter to all these function calls, and it's just doing it automatically. These are the kind of tasks that I really like AI for, because this truly is just mundane stuff that it's able to do on its own. It really is nice. So I think with that, all of the fonts should not be blurry anymore. If we switch back to pixel fonts. I mean, all of these look fine regardless. They don't look blurry to me, but they might be slightly. So, like, it has that slight fade on the outside, but that's just because Windows is blowing it up in this image. Yeah, it looks a lot better. I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. I need to fix the format, like, all the layout of all this stuff needs to change. I need to change the sizing of all this stuff. Also, it didn't pick up this font. This is still the old one. I think this font looks really nice, though. It's really readable, and it still fits the vibe. Can you teach me logic behind game development anytime soon? There's not really anything to teach. The way that you learn it is you just do it. So if you want to learn how to make games and want to learn game logic, make Pong. Download any game engine and make Pong. And you'll have to force yourself to learn the basics, force yourself to learn the fundamentals, excuse me. Hashtag Pong mentioned. But that is the way to do it, is you just have to make stuff, and by forcing yourself to power through the challenging bits, that's how you learn. Watching YouTube videos or having someone sit down and explain things to you, you will not learn very much from that. Like if you were in a classroom, I don't think that it will be worth it, you know. I don't think it'll work out, just because overcoming challenges is how you learn stuff. Every game is a complex version of Pong. I mean, genuinely, yes. Because, like, you see how on my screen, I'm making the player move left and right? That's kind of like moving the paddle left and right, or, you know, up and down, depending on the perspective. Is moving the player up and down really that much different from moving the Pong up and down? And then just making it move left and right, that's just the same thing, just a different direction. And then doing both at once makes you move diagonally. And then you have all these, like, different colors and shaders. You can put those in Pong. You have collisions, like when the Pong collides with a wall. If the paddle goes all the way to the top of the screen, it needs to stop. Kind of like what's happening here. The player stops when it gets too high up, and the player stops when it gets too far down. Well, you know, also drowns. We are all just really playing a really complex game of Pong. I'd say that real life is just a complex game of Pong, isn't it? How's it going? Hi, welcome in, Allfather. Thanks for being here. Just working on some font stuff, and just now I implemented some new pixel art font into the game. It's not that much different. I need to adjust the sizing too. That's a big thing. It's got oddly philosophical. I think that's par for the course in this stream. Because the truth is, I like to ramble, and it's really easy for me to ramble about, like, nonsensical weird stuff. Also, I'm not going to commit this. I'm just going to leave this because I'm currently working on reorganizing my code anyway, so I'm going to leave this as is. But I'm glad I was able to get that interesting or implemented. One thing I'm working on with my reorg is right now I have this horrible assets file that loads every single asset into the game immediately. and it's so bad. Like, this is not how you should normally do it. You should load assets as you need them. But here I am, like, preloading everything, which it gets very... It works out because my game is small, and it's not an issue. But it's not good practice. Can I get help from ChatGPT or any other AI while I am getting an error in game dev? So if you ask GPT to give you the answer, you won't learn as much. But if you ask GPT for specific questions, then maybe you can work your way towards it. My point is, AI is just a tool that can do a lot of the work for you. And when you have a tool doing the work for you, you're not going to be learning as much, but you might get more work done. That's the big crux of AI, is that it has the potential to do a lot of work for you, but if it's doing work for you, you're not going to be learning as much. Personally, I think, in my opinion, if like I started over today and I woke up today and I had no coding knowledge, I would not use AI at all. I would say no AI. If I run into a problem, I'm going to overcome that problem without AI, and it's going to be inefficient to do it that way. But by doing it the inefficient way, I'm going to internalize all of this challenge and information in a very real way, compared to if ChatGPT gives you the answer, you will not internalize the answer. When I was in college, I had to write a lot of, it was Java code for my early classes. And I remember getting so stuck on some of these Java assignments that I had to do. And if AI existed, where I could just look up, I could just ask AI, hey, like I'm trying to write a program that sorts an array. If I could just tell AI to give me that code, back then, I might have done it. I might have been tempted to just cheat and have it give me the answer. But I'm glad that AI wasn't existing. I'm glad that it didn't exist at the time, because I didn't even have that option. I had to overcome the challenge on my own, and it was very hard. But as a result of doing that, I became a better coder. I'm glad that I did that. If I had just asked ChatGPT to figure out the error or to write a program that works, I would not have internalized that information as much, and that challenge, like, I wouldn't have gained any EXP. I talked about that too, where overcoming these challenges is like gaining EXP in an RPG. It's like playing Pokemon. Like, you have to train your Pokemon and gain EXP to get your levels up. Otherwise, like, you could use hacks to get to the end of the game, but if your Pokemon aren't leveled up, you're not going to be able to beat the Elite Four. Good timing, I know, yeah. So my goal for everyone here is to get through your Pokemon journey with a good team by the end of it. Don't just like do a no-clip hack and get to the Elite Four immediately, because then you won't be good enough to beat them. Talking about computer mana, yeah, basically. Did I go to university in Missouri? I know I mentioned going to STL Orchestra or something. I did not go to university in Missouri. I went to school in Illinois, but when I graduated from school, when I got my bachelor's degree, I moved to St. Louis for 1 year. I worked for Boeing in St. Louis, and I go back there. I made some friends while I lived there, and I liked it. So I'm a big fan of Missouri, big fan of St. Louis. To me, AI is the literal evolution of spoon feeding. That is a really good way of putting it. And the thing is, though, is like, it's helpful. Spoon feeding is it can be a helpful process, but yeah, when it gives you the answers, you're losing out on that EXP. Okay, I go to Missouri S&T for CS. Awesome. When I worked at Boeing, I knew a lot of people from Missouri S&T because that was nearby. Just my opinion, I think your game contrast or saturation is low. You know what? I was thinking about that recently too. I think that's really, really good feedback. I was thinking about that recently, how the levels were not quite right. I think the big thing is that this area that I'm in currently is a dark area. If I go to town, where it's more well lit, I don't think the issue is as noticeable. But at the same time, I want every area to feel good, to be good looking. I don't want it to be like situationally good looking. Like, I think that dark area looks good when I have a torch and there's a light source, but you're not gonna always have a light source. So I should do something about the colors or the tone in that area so that it always looks good even when there's no light source around. Because, like, yeah, this town has the same lighting, I think. It's just the lighting is better here, with the same settings. I really like the fire animation on the campfire. Yeah. I do too. So, back to... I got on a big sidetrack because I went on the hinting mode tangent. I was looking at all of my pixel art assets on itch.io. And actually, that's how I found Compass, so that's why we did that. But this is a really good one. I'm glad that I found this again. What am I planning to add to my game? A lot of stuff, but I'm taking it one step at a time. There's something oddly enjoyable about pixel art fire animations. Oh, I totally agree. I'm really impressed by people that are able to make good effects animations. Because I didn't make this fire animation. I think I purchased it, and then I combined it with the campsite thing. So like, I edited it to make this whole thing, and also I added the smoke. Like, you can see a bit of smoke coming off of it. I added that too. But the fire loop, it's like 6 frames of flames. And someone else drew that. I think I purchased it from one of my... I think it's from one of these pixel art asset packs on itch.io. It might actually be called Fire. No, this isn't it. This is a different one. This is a different one, but it looks good too. Let's see what other fire I have. Oh, here's the slash animation. I was showing this last week. How there are these different slashes. And I used this arcing one in the upper left to make the greatsword slash. Or maybe it was this one. I can't remember. But it looks similar. You should listen to Mario Sports Mix OST. There's so many bangers. Oh, I really should. When I was a kid, I was a really big fan of Mario Strikers and Mario Superstar Baseball and Mario Golf. I loved Mario Golf. Mario Tennis we played a little bit, but not very much. There's a lot. Man, I forgot about how many good Mario Sports games there were. Unless you're talking about Mario Sports Mix specifically. Is Mario Sports Mix, is that the DS game? Because I don't think I played that one specifically. Now I'm wondering what everyone's favorite OSTs are. Favorite OST? I don't even know. I'd have to think about that really, really hard. No, it's on Wii. I don't think I'm familiar with that one. But I was a really big fan of the Mario Sports games, especially in the GameCube era. I think that was when I was really into the sports games. Man, it's so funny how many of these effects I have. Oh, here. This is the artist that made the fire, so I should be able to find... their other work. Oh, this isn't the artist. No, sorry, this is a different artist. Jeez, I have so many I can't remember. I closed the wrong tab. I screwed it up. Man, I love Moonshire Monday. Thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that, because sometimes I get frustrated because I close the wrong tabs. I have so many tabs open, it's ridiculous. Okay, let's try this again. Am I primarily a programmer or pixel artist? If I am a programmer, how did I become a better pixel art? I am primarily a programmer. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, so I have a lot of experience with coding, and I had a career after that too, so lots of experience with that. But pixel art is just a skill that I picked up over time. Like, I've made lots of games, and I learned pixel art by just making sprites for those games. I learned to make games by making games, and I learned to do pixel art by making pixel art for my games. And doing it that way means that your pixel art is going to be bad for a while. Like, you're not, like, most of my pixel art was horrible for the first few years. And also, I was a kid when I started. I've been doing it since I was a kid. I showed this last week too. I'll go ahead and pull it up again. But I'm working on a video where I'm going to show off my old YouTube channel. I keep getting so indecisive about what format I want to do with it. But I have an old YouTube channel called Game Maker Crab, and these are the projects that I worked on. That I worked on while I was a kid, and a lot of the artwork is stuff from other games. Like, these are just Link's Awakening sprites. But then I like here I drew a heart in this video. So a lot of these I draw very, very simple sprites. I think even this one, it looks like I draw some sprites. Make the enemy sprite have more images. Yeah, so like, I've always been working with these images, because this was 16 years ago, so I've been doing pixel art for at least 16 years. I got that going for me. But yeah, a lot of this pixel art was not good. Like, this one I was kind of being silly, I'm pretty sure. Like, I wasn't actually trying to make a good-looking heart, but, you know, in 16 years, oh, I know, I've been doing it a while. But that's the way that you get good at pixel art or get good at game development, is that you do it for 16 years and then you can say that you're good at it. But yeah, this is what my pixel art used to look like 15 years ago. Is it possible to play any of my old games? I was talking to Goodgus about this, and I think it is, because I posted some of my old games on Yo-Yo Games. Yo-Yo Games? I'm gonna see if any aspect of it is still up. Because all of that stuff was Game Maker, by the way. And at the time, Game Maker was owned by Yo-Yo Games, which was owned by Opera. And they had this site where you could post your games and people could play them. Part of Opera. Okay, so it is still owned by that. Give me one moment. So I had a phone call with Goodgus where he was telling me that they backed up all of the Yo-Yo Games projects. Yo-Yo Games Archive. Oh, this is it. Yeah, so if you go to, it's yygarchive.org, it looks like. There's this Yo-Yo Games archive. A searchable collection of Game Maker games that were available on the old games portal for Yo-Yo Games, which launched in 2007. In 2011, the portal was moved to Sandbox.Yo-Yo Games and was shut down in 2016. Due to the portal being moved to the Sandbox subdomain, the old Yo-Yo Games website is often referred to as the Sandbox. Okay, so if you search this for Game Maker Crab, here it is. It is, yeah, that's amazing. I posted this in 2011. So it is still up, and this is one game, by the way. I don't know what happens when you download this. It's just the exe. So I know for a fact that exe does not run this computer, because I have that exact exe. Anyone start on Deluxe Paint 3? Interesting, I never heard of that. Do I use Love Canvases? I think that the camera system does use that. How do I make animated tiles and use them in tiled? I'll show that real quick. Where is tiled? Oh, I unpinned it for some reason. Tiled. Oh, I see. I installed a different version. So, man, the font on this is crazy small. I'm very sorry how small this is. I complain about that every single time. Maybe I should open up an old map. I have a better example to open up. Give me one moment while I open that up. Under projects, and then Moonshire Prefactor. Okay, so someone was asking about the tiles that are animated. So that includes like the water or the waterfall. I think that the waterfall is a really good example of this. And the way it works is any given tile set, like I have the waterfall tile set here. You can see it has all of the different frames of the animation. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And what you do, I'm so sorry for clearing my throat. You edit it, and you can go through each individual tile and animate each one. So if I open up the animation editor, you're able to click on individual frames and apply them to an individual animation. And when you do that to every frame, it creates this whole big animation. You hit 300 XP. Awesome. I appreciate you being so active, Baniadium. How do you pronounce that? I've been saying Baniadium, but I bet it's Baniadum. Baniadum? How do I add motion to the environment? Because as a dev, yeah, the way that I add motion to the environment, like there's all kinds of stuff. There's the particles falling from the sky, like these petals. There's the grass that flows. It like waves in the wind. There's the fire. There's the fog. You can see the fog texture rolling across the screen. And then you have all the trees. The trees are waving. They have their own animation, which again, I think that these should be improved. These are very basic, but I think that they still add a bit of movement. Because I'm with you. Having movement of any kind really does add a lot to it. Deluxe Paint was on the Amiga. Wow, that's amazing. Cool. I've never even heard of that. One second, my mouse is acting up. There we go. What settings do I recommend to avoid motion blur with pixel art and add pixel snapping? Thanks for my videos. That's kind of how I started getting. Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So, what you're describing, I think, mainly, is talking about the linear scaling, the interpolation. So, let's see. I have this in Game Start. I think what you're looking for with, like, crispness and snappiness is this default filter. And it's going to be different. Every game engine, every art software has something like this. What this is called, this is the scaling interpolation, is what it's sometimes called, or the scaling filter. This is how it decides how to scale the game, how to scale the assets. And right now, like, this is a 4K monitor, but this sprite of the player is really small. It's scaling the sprite up to be really big, but it's not blurry. And it's thanks to this scaling type that makes it not blurry. If I take this off, this is what the game looks like when I take that setting off. The whole game is really blurry now. Because instead of scaling up with no interpolation, it's using this like blurry next neighbor sort of thing. And that's not good for pixel art, because pixel art is very pixely. We want a lot of pixels, but this interpolation algorithm kind of removes the pixeliness. It makes it more faded and blurry. Softer is a better word for it. It makes all the edges very soft. And you do want soft edges with high-res assets. If I had like a picture of myself, you generally want to use a soft scaling like this. But with pixel art, you do not want that at all, because then it makes all the pixels like really bad. So that's why you need this nearest filter, nearest interpolation scaling. And then that fixes it. Very crisp. You mentioned snapping. I don't have any pixel snapping. Like there's sub-pixel movement and sub-pixel like camera controls and stuff like that. I don't mind that. I do care about like the scaling though. That does need to be good. Have I ever used C++ for a project report? I'm curious. Yeah, when I was in college, I took a class that required C++. I'm trying to think. Do I have any? I don't have any game projects. Also, my first job out of college was C++ focused, so I use C++ a lot, actually. Love2D wraps a bunch of C++ code. Yeah, the engine itself uses C++. So even though my code project doesn't... I don't write C++ for this game, the engine that it runs on does. And if I ever wanted to like contribute to the open source project of Love2D, because that's what it is, like Love2D is an open source project. If I go to GitHub Love2D, we'll find the GitHub project, and we can actually see that the languages on the side, it tells you over here in the corner, or on the right, it tells you what languages make up this project. And you can see it's mostly C++. There's a bit of C for probably like the low-level embedded stuff. Lua is very little of it. It's mostly C++ to handle the engine stuff. Because C++ and C, these are engine embedded level stuff, really low-level things, great for engine code. But Lua is more of a scripting language, great for gaming, game development. Can you make a game in Excel? I don't know if you can. I bet that there are ways to do it where you can use like the cells of the Excel grid to act like a pixel. So I bet you can. Can we still are we still able to export our project for mobile? Yes. It does still support mobile natively. because there is an official Love2D app that you can run your projects through on mobile, and then you can build the project for mobile using the different pipelines that they have. You can make a game in a PDF document. Wow, that's really interesting. I never really heard of that. Jake, hi, welcome in. I have an idea for a new project if I'm interested. I mean, go for it. I'm always here. Sorry, I'm always opening. Jeez, I'm sorry for stuttering. I'm always open to listening to new project ideas. But the truth is, I have so many projects going on right now that like I don't know if I'd be able to take on another one. The big thing is I need to bring the chat overlay to the finish line. That's so close to being done, and I haven't really finished it off. Actually, I made a tool, Love2 APK, and it's in GitHub. Awesome. I did the same thing too on my GitHub when I was first getting started. I made a really old script. It was called like build. Oh, I deleted it. Never mind. I deleted. I used to have a repo on this GitHub that was a build script for mobile, but I don't have it anymore. Have I considered to add shaders to my game? Yes, and I already do have shaders. And you'll be able to see them. If I spawn a torch... Oh, that is so ugly. So you can see the shaders in the game when I have a torch on. There's a light source around the player. And you can see that it's dark towards the edges of the screen, and it's light towards the center where the player is. That is shaders at work. It is literally a big black transparent overlay, and then this light source pierces through it using shaders. And also, I have shaders for the saturation, so I can bump the saturation up to be really high. I could make the game really blue. I can make it even darker. Actually, I think I use New Dark for that. So I use shaders for lots of different things. Wow, this looks crazy now. It's very blue. But yeah, I use shaders for the colors and for the lighting. How do you make a repository? I have a video. In fact, it's the most recent video on my channel. It's a GitHub tutorial, so check that out. I got back into game making using Love2D, remaking asteroids. Awesome, that's a really good choice. What type of collision boxes do I use in my game? It's the part I'm trying to figure out now. That's an awesome question. And with collisions, there's lots of ways you can do it. Because Love2D has a built-in physics engine. You could use that for your collisions. However, I wouldn't recommend that. For your game, for a asteroids clone, I would recommend doing your collisions using a very simple distance check. So if I'm gonna demonstrate this real quick using paint. So I'm going to make the background black. I'm gonna make it bigger. And then I'm going to get things set up. So let's say that we had our game, and this is the spaceship. Okay. That's the spaceship. And then over here we have the asteroid. We have a few asteroids. And I'll put one right here too. I'm gonna make it more close to circles, because what I'm gonna suggest for your game with collision detection is to make every collider a circle. Is that I'm gonna recommend that you make this asteroid have a circle, a circle, a circle, and a circle, even though it's not gonna be perfect. My advice is to not make your hitboxes perfect. Just use very simple circles. Then, how do you make a collider like that? And when I say make it a circle, I'm suggesting don't even make anything. The way that you make this hitbox, when it's just a circle, is everything has a radius. As long as you know the radius of the circle, that's how you know. So let's say the radius of the ship is 10, and the radius of the asteroid is 6. That's the only thing you need to store. You don't need to use the physics engine. You don't need to use anything else. Just remember that the radius of the ship is 10 and the radius of your asteroid is 6. Then you have to ask, how do you know if there's a collision between an asteroid and the ship? Because let's say that there's an asteroid right here. And that would mean that there is a collision that looks like, whoops, that looks like this. Okay, so I'm sorry that this is very busy, but essentially the collisions is just the yellow parts. That's the only thing that we care about, is that every object is going to have this invisible yellow circle. And I'm going to actually remove some of this stuff to make it easier to see. The way that you check to see if two circles are colliding is like, you can see it with your eyes, right? You can see that these two circles have collided. Just reference the radius. Yeah, exactly. This circle on the left is the ship, and this circle on the right is the asteroid. How can we tell with using math? How can we tell that these two circles have collided? We can see with our eyeballs that they have collided. But we need to use math now to like code this into our game. Because we need to write a line that says like local has collided equals something. So how do we calculate if these two circles have collided? And we do this because we know the radius of both of these circles. We know that this radius is 10, and we know that this radius is 6. Okay? So we know the radii of both of these circles. Since we know that this one's 10 and this one's 6, if these two circles were right next to each other, like this is the closest collision possible. And that would mean that their two radii would connect like this. What's the length of this line? This is a question for anyone. What's the length of this line? If this one is 10 and this one is 6, what's the length of this line? It's 16. So, if we know that the length of this line right here is 16, we know that if the distance between these two circles is less than 16, there's going to be a collision. There's going to be an overlap. You have so many libraries. Yeah, you can use libraries too, but I think it's best not to use a library if you don't need to. I think that you should give the player ship a radius of 10 or whatever. You should give the asteroid object a radius of 6 or whatever. And then the way you check if there's a collision is you do a distance check, the distance formula. How do you check the distance between this point and this point? There's a very simple distance formula. So you literally can use this formula right here, and you can plug this into your code. I think I have this in my code already. I have a utils file that has distance between. So I have this function distance between. Okay? So I can use this function to calculate the distance between, well, first I'll say local dist equals distance between player.x, player.y, asteroid.x, asteroid.y. So this is going to give us a distance between these two things. And you can check if they've collided if the dist is less than 16. Or better yet, you would say like is less than player.radius plus asteroid.radius. And then has collided will be true or false. This is how I think that everyone should do collisions with simple projects. Because this process that I'm describing here, you can use a physics engine for this. You could just use a physics engine, load up a physics world, create colliders for every object, and then automatically it'll just like collide stuff. But I'm going to encourage you guys that you don't need to do that. That's a lot of overhead. That's a lot of extra library, and like having a physics engine running in your game takes extra performance. If you don't need to use the physics engine, you shouldn't. And if you're just calculating the distance between objects, you don't need a physics engine. I think that something like this is a lot more clean and simple. Circle collision boxes tend to work well, especially for something like this. Asteroids, like they're circular shapes. If you want something more complex, you can flesh this out to have more shapes involved. Like you could have rectangle shapes. You'll just need to have that calculation in place, because you can calculate the distance. You can calculate if there's a collision between a circle and a rectangle. It's just more complicated. You just need to do more work to do that. What about UI, for example, a square button? Yeah, that's its own calculation. Let's go ahead and talk about that too. How do you fill? I'm trying to just erase all this stuff. So let's say that I had some square buttons in my game. Or rectangle buttons. It doesn't matter what they are. I'll have a few of them. And then this will be like the close button. So now we're doing a similar thing. We're trying to decide, we're trying to decide if this is the mouse, how do we know if the mouse is over top of a rectangle? Because right now, we can see with our eyeballs that the mouse is not over top of any of these buttons. But if there was a button right here, like how can we mathematically prove that the mouse's position, which is this point right here, how can we mathematically prove that this green point exists within a rectangle? And you do that by checking all of its you check every direction. It's very simple. You check to see, is the Y position greater than this line? Is its X position greater than this line? Is its Y position less than this line? And is its X position less than this line? So you're literally checking the position of this line. Is this X value greater than this X value? Is it also less than this X value? Is the Y value, does the Y value of this point fall between this value and this value? And if it works on all of those levels, that's how you know it exists within this rectangle. And I think, again, I have a utility for this. Within rectangle. I have this right here. I have a function called in rectangle, where you plug in the point that you're checking, the position of the rectangle, and then the width and height of the rectangle. Which, by the way, this could be a square too, if you make the width and height the same. It's literally checking if the X position is greater than the X point, if it's less than the right edge of it, if it's greater than the top edge, and if it's less than the bottom edge, then it's within the rectangle. So that's how you do all these manual calculations. How to make it check if the mouse is hovering the buttons. Exactly how I just described it. Is every single frame, the code is going to check this point, and it's going to compare this point to every single button. It's going to iterate every button in the game, and it's going to check to see if this point exists within that button. And if it does, then it's going to set a flag on that button to say it's being hovered. Because I think in my new UI somewhere, this file is horrible, but somewhere in here, it's going to iterate through all of the buttons to figure out which ones are being hovered. Actually, so every frame it iterates through every single button and calls that button's update function. Let's see if I can find that. Update. And clickable. Clickable equals true. Hover equals font. Here it is. Yeah, so every single frame, it's calling that in rectangle function. As long as the mouse X and mouse Y position is within the rectangle of the button that we're checking, it's going to say that the button is being hovered. Am I familiar with Lover and Lutro? I tried Lover. I could not get anything to work with it. I had a lot of problems with it. I don't know what Lutro is. On my GitHub, I have a... I'm going to show it because I love it. On my GitHub, I have a... What did I call it? I called it Voxel something. Pixel 3D. I made this, which is... This is not Lover. This is just Love 2D. I made this short, small Pixel 3D file that converts any pixel art into voxels, and then it's able to render those voxels in a 2D engine. So even though these look like 3D models, it's just it's running in Love 2D. It's running in a 2D engine. These are just 2D images that look 3D. 3D option for Love is so great. I agree. I was thinking about this where I like this feature, and I think that this looks cool, where maybe there's some specific points in Moonshire where I could use this effect. Maybe like when you get an item, or you're examining something, or maybe some special effect. I bet that there's something I could use this for, and it'll look really cool. Lutro is a core for RetroArch to play love games. Just replace love with Lutro. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's like a wrapper or bridge sort of software. If only Godot used Lua, it would be perfect. Really? Well, I mean, I've never used GD script. I am wondering how much different it is compared to Lua. And also, by the way, I'm glad that you like Lua. I like Lua. I'm a big fan of it. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't like Lua because it is a little bit verbose and it is indexed at 1. So I can see why some people don't like it. I like it, though. I think it's great. The problem is pixels with UI. I have no idea how do I check Y pixels or X pixels because each screen is different. Yes. Good point. Here's how you answer that. Here's my answer to that. In my game, I am still doing exactly what I said because I have that same problem that you're describing. That every screen is different. So how can I know that this calculation is going to work on a high-res screen versus a low-res screen versus a wide screen versus a narrow screen? It needs to work for all of them. The answer is the scale factor. And I don't show the scale factor anywhere in this calculation, but I bet that I am somewhere in here. Yeah, scale. Let's look for scale. The scale is being used in lots of places. New UI.scale. Yeah, okay, so new UI.scale is set equal to the global scale value, and then I am applying this new UI.scale to several different points. So, for example, here, it's placing the position of the button, and it's offsetting it by the scale of the UI. And you need to account for that UI scale. Like here, button.width, it looks like it doesn't get changed. Here it is. So here, this is the answer to what you're discussing. Is every screen is different. Those buttons will be different sizes on different screens. So since that's the case, you need to store the scaled value. I have the base width of the button. This is the width before any screen scaling. And then this value is how scaled the screen is. If you multiply these values together, you can store this, and then this is the scaled value for the specific screen that the game is currently being run on. So I do actually account for this. That's a really, really good call out. That when you scale the game, you have to account for that scale factor in your calculation. If you don't, then it's going to be assuming that no scaling is taking place, so it wouldn't work. And same deal here. And same with my my rectangle function. It has to assume that the width and height of the rectangle is scaled properly. Same with the position. If the position is impacted by scale factor, then you need to include it in your calculation, otherwise it won't work. How do I get the scale factor? That is something that I set myself when the game starts, or actually I set it whenever the screen changes size. So I have a set scale function right here, and this gets triggered whenever the screen changes size. So like right now I have this window, but I can shrink it down, and now the game is a different size. Well, I unshrunk it for some reason. So now it's this size. I can shrink it again. Now it's this size. That is one thing I love about my game, is that it works at literally every resolution. I can shrink it down to the tiniest of windows. Looks like there's a problem with the overlay, but it is still working. I can still play the game. Hello, welcome in, Snippet. So that scale factor gets calculated in this function. It's a global variable. Scale. Scale is the global variable. And I calculated based on a few different factors. I have this scale factor divided by 1200. I think that was like a pixel height that I used to use, and then multiplied it by the window height. So it calculates the scale factor based on the window height and what the certain number of pixels I want to show in the window is. It also accounts for the field of view, field of FOV somewhere. It accounts for that somewhere too. I have to rummage through Godot manual often to try and find things. I mean, like all the tools in my box are named and worked slightly different. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that when you switch to any engine, there's going to be a learning curve for figuring out like the fundamentals, and like you're saying, things are named differently. It's the same with Love2D and Lua. I was talking earlier about how in Love2D and Lua, the scaling is called set default filter, and the filter is called nearest. But I know for a fact that not all engines call it that, and not all art software calls it that either. In GIMP, they call this the scaling interpolation, and they call this the interpolation algorithm. And you can set this, instead of nearest, they call it none. So there's not a standard way of doing any of this stuff. It's going to be different, but it is still similar. Like, once you understand how to use set default filter in Love2D, it's going to be pretty easy for me to figure out what that process is like in Godot, because they probably have something really similar to this, where graphics are scaled using different interpolation algorithms based on whatever you set. Can I see how you organize everything? Sure. I'm still in the process of tidying things up, but essentially I have all of the non-code stuff set into its own folder, and then the source folder has all the individual files, and then there's just all these individual Lua files for every different category. But I was saying how I'm currently reorganizing this again. I have so many different... There's no right answers with organization, by the way. The way I have it organized here is perfectly fine. But I keep thinking of ways where it's like, I have a lot of files. It would be nice if I had fewer files. And also, there's a lot of old code. Like, I have this folder called enemies old. This is not used at all anymore. I completely removed this. Same with this enemies. This is not used at all anymore either. It's just old stuff, and I need to go through and clean all this stuff up. I don't like making a scale system. I never understand how it works. And from my last game, I had to use AI to make my game good for all games. I even use a library called Push. It's fine to use libraries. Yeah, I think that you can use a library to help with scaling. Scaling is hard. It takes a lot of effort to figure things out. It's not easy. So the way I get scaling working is I use a camera, and the camera zooms in based on the scale factor. I kind of use both of it. Good for all devices. I understand. Using a library helps. I think I've heard a lot of people use Push. So if Push works for you, then go ahead. I think that's great. And if using AI gets you unstuck, that's fine too. Just realize that when you use AI, you're probably not going to be learning as much if you did it all yourself. That's just the one thing to be cautious of. I use AI to get unstuck all the time, but I can't use it too much, otherwise I'll stop learning. And I'm still learning, by the way. Even though I feel like I'm really competent and I know what I'm doing, I'm still gaining a lot of skills every day. And if I was using AI nonstop and it was doing all of my coding, I wouldn't be learning. It's really, it's important to have that balance. I've made basic games with box physics controlled, gravity screen scaling. Yeah, it's pretty easy to get that stuff set up. But at the same time, it is heavy. When you use a physics engine in your game, it does require more processing power. And if you don't need it, it's best not to use it. We never stop learning, never. I agree. If you choose to stop, like you can choose to stop learning if you want to, but that means you're going to stagnate and you're not going to get any better. Like your skill set with anything, it stems from your knowledge and experience and intelligence. The more you know, the better you're going to be at any given skill. Because a lot of these skills transfer to each other, even though, whoops, why did that break? Local LS. Oh, I think it's because I, Flame LS. What? I didn't change anything in that. There's something broken in Flame. What line was that? 160. It said that LS was nothing. Light sources get by UID. Oh, I can just add if LS then. That's all I need to do. I'm the only one that made Love2D tutorials. It's funny you say that because when I started with Love2D, it was probably 7 years ago. There was, I'll see if I can find it. There was a batch of Love2D tutorials that I followed to get started with, but I'm certain it's outdated at this point because that was a long time ago. So let me see if I can find this. And it was Love2D tutorial. His name was like Kangaroo something. Yeah, here he is. His name's Spunky Kangaroo. What, 10 years ago? Oh my gosh. Underrated. Yeah, I followed this guy's tutorials all the way back then. And this is what taught me the fundamentals. I think the tutorials on my channel are better because they're more up to date. But that was helpful. That was my first exposure. That's why when you search any Love2D tutorials, this channel appears first. I'm honored to have that privilege. I really should post more tutorials to maintain that spot, because that could be taken at some point. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. My throat's getting really scratchy when I talk for a while. We got like 10 more minutes of stream, and then we'll be done. Sheep Pollution. Yeah, Sheep Pollution is really good too. I've talked to him before. Okay, so back to what I was... Man, I have so many tabs open. So I think this was my favorite font that we found so far. Like this middle one, that looks really cool. That just looks like a finished font. That's a really, really nice logo. But there's definitely room for improvement. Like I would probably change how the E looks. I don't like how that E looks. And some of this is very frilly. I might tone it down a little bit. Maybe I could take some of the boldness of this one and combine it with this one because... Like, I don't like how the double O's look here, but I kind of like how the other letters look down here. Oh, like this E looks better than this E. So I would instead I would change this to lowercase e here, like that. Like that. See, that looks better. That looks pretty cool. You're not a fan of the R. I am a fan of the R. I love this R. Like, we could try the lowercase one, too. This is okay. Maybe. Yeah, I guess that is pretty readable. But I like the really extra R. This speaks to me. Something about that works. I like it. I think they both look good. I like the thickness of, like, the H and the R. I like the thickness of all of the letters here, except for the double O. I like the double O from this one more. But that's pretty... I'm a big fan of this. There was one other that I found. What was it? It was... Oh, there's two of them. Trade Winds. And this one too. No, I don't like this one. and then trade wins. This one's kind of cool. I don't like it as much. Yeah, never mind. I don't really like it very much. I think that this one is a winner. I'm a really big fan of this, actually. It's super cool. Yeah, that's great. So, at some point I'm going to be trying this out and seeing if I could make a cool logo out of this. And just to double check, this does have a license. Whenever you use a font or an asset of any kind, always very, very important to make sure your license is intact, because there's so many different licenses. When it comes to using a license, it's normally pretty open to use it for artwork, but then when you want to embed it into your website or embed it into a game, that's when these licenses tend to be more restrictive. And that's why I like Google Fonts, because typically it's pretty open font license. That's nice. That's nice to have. So many people I know here. That's awesome. Yeah, I bet it's a lot of people from the Discord. Well, because honestly, I think a big reason why the crowd hasn't been super big. I haven't been posting videos. If you haven't noticed, I haven't posted a devlog for such a long time, and the goal is that I use clips from this stream to make devlogs, but it just hasn't been happening. I have to get back on track with video production stuff. I know. All I'll say is that I'm working on one, but my standards for my own videos, it's rough because I'm so nitpicky and perfectionist about it, and it just nothing ever gets done. It's so rough. Maybe at least once a week. I mean, that would be a nice goal, but right now I'm posting it once every half year. If I could get once a month, that would be an improvement. And that wouldn't even be hard. I just need to get in that routine. I need to find a format that works for me. Because that's the other thing, is like my standards keep raising, and then I'm having trouble keeping up with that. And also, whenever I spend time on a devlog, it takes several days, like 3 or 4 days to make a devlog. Even if it's only 5 or 6 minutes long, it takes a long time. And that's like 3 or 4 days of not working on the game. I really would rather work on the game than work on stuff that isn't exactly productive to the game's development. Silksong's topic hasn't been here yet, huh? I mean, it was mentioned earlier. Someone asked if I finished it, and I could have. I took a break. So last week on Monday, I was talking about how it was a little bit tedious of a game. There's a lot of runbacks and a lot of darkness and a lot of like really intense effects. Overall, I like the game a lot, but I had to take a break because I was getting burnt out. I was playing a lot, and I think that there are some tedious aspects of the game that I think could be improved. That's all I'll say. I love it though. I think it's very good. I think that the game turned out amazing. Hopefully they can make things a little less annoying, because that's my only problem. I think the difficulty is good. I like hard games. I like that it's challenging. I like overcoming those challenges. It's just there's some tedium that makes it less fun. And that's the only thing that they need to fix. If they fix that, I think it'll be perfect. I really, really like the game. I got a lot of ideas from it too. Did I ever play Blasphemous? I did not play it. I watched a playthrough of 1 and 2. So I know generally what the vibe is like, but I haven't played it myself. It seems awesome though. And it seems like I could get a lot of cool inspiration from it. Same with the visuals, because that's a 2D game. And I bet they do a lot of cool effects that... I was talking about this last week, how with Silksong coming out, I'm getting a lot of art ideas and effects ideas, because it's kind of rare for 2D games to come out that are pushing boundaries. And Silksong, I think, pushes some boundaries in terms of visuals. And I think Blasphemous does the same thing with its pixel art. It's very intense and very stylized, very cool. A lot of inspiration for your game from it. Cool. That's good to hear. I think it's an awesome idea to get inspiration from games that you like and from the same style. Blasphemous would be a good one for me to play, just because it's Souls-like, and my game has that same sort of vibe. Although I kind of want to go for something less punishing. That's the thing about Silksong, is I love Silksong. I love the challenging combat, but it is punishing, and you can lose a fight very quickly because you lose momentum, and then you have to spend time getting back to where you were, and that's the part that I don't like. That's the takeaway from Silksong is I love the challenge. I just want to supplement the challenge with tools that make it more fun. I think Silksong could use something like that, where it's just a little bit quicker to get back into the action. The runbacks are just too long. That's my main complaint. Hornet's sprite sheet must be crazy large. I can't imagine. It's probably huge. You're right. Because for a moment I was thinking maybe it's split up into pieces. I bet it is split up into pieces. Like I bet her head is separate from her body, because I won't spoil it, but there are portions where her body looks different in other portions of the game. So I bet that her body is different from her head. But besides that, I bet they're kind of linked in that same way. And Silksong is downright cruel in some places. I would agree. On Monday, I stopped playing because I got to Biowater, and I think that a lot of people are agreeing that that area is just BS. But I'll come back to it. I'll circle back on it. I saw the Silksong arenas didn't seem very fun. Yeah, I'm stuck on one right now, and that's another reason why. Because, like, I haven't played since last Monday, and I want to. I want to finish the game. I'm at the end. I'm close to the end of the game. I could finish it within a day if I wanted to, but I'm picturing myself going back in and then just, like, frustratingly dying over again and having to run back to all these areas, and I just see myself getting burnt out again. So I kind of I want to wait for a little bit. The new patch make it more forgiving. I saw that they're making small improvements to the balancing and changing some things to make it less annoying, which I'm happy about, which is good. I don't mean to be negative, because, again, I really am positive about the game. It's a great game. I just wish there were slightly more checkpoints and somewhat less tedious aspects of it. It's mainly the checkpoints thing. I wish there were more benches to sit at, because it feels like I have to spend a lot of time running back to where I just was. There's like more than 300 sprites. That's crazy. On that note, I think I'm done for the day. I really appreciate you all being here for another Moonshire Monday, and I will be back next week, and looking forward to it. Thank you again to everyone who's been here. Adele, Wilson, Lipa, Lorem, Wilson, sorry, I already said that, Ertos Allfather, Banyadam, and Aki the Macaw, Wolf, Jake, Banyadam, already said that, Master Bro Network. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate the support. Amazing stream, and I will be back next week. Bye, everyone.